Hello everyone, welcome to IAS Baba's 60 days rapid revision series for Prelims 2022. This is day 9 and we are taking up economics. So whenever economics are considered, the basics as well as current affairs we have to take into consideration. So here we have a blend of both. So we go with the first one, the GDP and GNP calculation. Friends, GDP means we know that any output that is present within the territory of a nation. So that is called the gross domestic product. And here it need not be the output per se. So it can be the income that is earned by that output, or the output itself, or the expenditure that is incurred to get that output. So here we have three kinds of calculation of GDP, that is income method, output method and expenditure method. And one more point to be remembered is that it includes income of a foreign multinational also. So a multinational company within a territory of India. So that also includes. Okay, so because it is within the India's territory. And then within the GDP we have two, that is the GDP at market prices and GDP at factor costs. So GDP at market price means GDP at the entrance of the market. GDP at factor cost means it is at the outset of the company. So whenever we are calculating this, so the service charges, the taxes, subsidies, all will be adjusted. Say for example, GDP at market price here means GDP at factor cost plus taxes minus subsidies. So whenever we are adding the taxes, so it is your hard earned money, so that you are paying as the tax. So this tax is a part of your output production. Okay, so that is why it is included, but subsidies are not your hard earned money. So it is something coming from the government free. So we are subtracting subsidy and adding. So here the taxes are the portions of income that go to government. So although you are a part of it, but subsidies are not the incomes, so they are coming free. Then come to next, the GDP at factor cost. It is nothing but the reverse of the algebra. It is minus taxes plus subsidies. And then the gross national product. So this is GDP plus net property income from abroad. So here net property income means, so that income which comes into the nation will be added, and that income which goes out of the nation will be subtracted. Say for example, the dividends, interests and profits, so these are included. And then whenever a multinational company transfers its profits to abroad, so that income is subtracted. So here it is not a domestic territory per se, it is like the total income and the total outcome. Then come to next, GDP versus GVA. Friends, we know that recently from 3 to 4 years back we shifted from GDP to GVA calculation. So in that perspective it becomes important. So here GVA means the value addition. So how much we are investing in for the value addition. So here GVA is calculated as GDP plus subsidies on the product minus taxes on the product. Say for example, I am doing agriculture. So in that agriculture, so whatever the taxes I am being paying, okay, so that will not add any value. Okay, so that goes straight away to the government. So those taxes will be deducted here. But however, subsidies I get from the government, that will add value to my business. Say for example, a subsidized tractor I am taking, so that is adding value to my agriculture. So subsidies will be added here. So here some other differences of GDP and GVA is, well, GDP gives a picture of whole economy, GVA gives picture at the enterprises, government and household level. Friends, GVA is calculated mainly in the bottom-up approach. Say for example, the GVA of all sectors, the summation of GVA of all sectors is the GVA of a nation. The GVA of the households is the GVA of a whole community, or GVA of all industries together is the GVA of a sector. So likewise, it is the bottom-up approach, and GDP can be used in the cross-country analysis and comparison of economic growth, while GVA has limited utilization. So GVA we cannot compare. Say for example, the value addition. So a normal person clearing UPSC is a great value addition, but a person who is already well educated, he clearing UPSC is not that value addition. So we cannot compare every nations because they are put in different stages. And then other differences, GVA represents supply side perspective of economy, unlike GDP which is a demand side approach. So GVA is means it is at the outset of the factory, the GDP is at the market's entrance. Okay, so this is the supply side and the demand side. And then GVA is considered better estimate for economy as sharp increase in the output can be due to higher tax collections, which in turn can be due to the factors like better compliance. So if there is more tax collection or if there is a hike in taxes, so even then the GDP can be increased. Okay, but however GVA is calculated by deducting the taxation. So that means the hardcore value addition comes under GVA, but the GDP can increase even if the taxation is hiked. So that is why the best economic growth is via GVA, because that doesn't consider the hiking of tax or increasing the tax base or anything of such matter. Okay. So these are small differences between GDP and GVA. Then come to next, the employment unemployment survey in India. So what are the various surveys? First one is the quarterly employment survey. So the quarterly employment survey is a part of All India Quarterly Establishment Based Employment Survey. So AQEES. So that is released by Labour Bureau, Ministry of Labour and Employment, and it covers establishment employing 10 or more workers in an organized segment in 9 sectors. So in 9 different sectors like primary, secondary, tertiary, in that wherever there are companies which employ 10 or more workers, so those companies are taken up to calculate this employment. That means only the top companies, so the MSMEs are not considered in this. So this is the major drawback of this, that is the informal or casual workers or the household employers, so they are not considered for this employment survey. So if these employers are not considered, so but obvious employees working under there, they will also not be considered. But we have one more, that is the periodic labor force survey. So this has various other types of calculation. So this is carried out by the National Sample Survey Office under the Ministry of Statistics and Program Implementation. So that is the Ministry of Labor. So this is the Ministry of Statistics and Program Implementation. So here we have the usual status approach. That means only those are counted, that is who have no gainful work for a major time during the 365 days in the preceding year of survey. And then weekly status approach, that is it counts those who did not have gainful work even for an hour on any day of the week preceding the date of the survey. That means in the last 1 week, not even 1 hour they have worked. And then we have the daily status approach. That means those persons are counted who have no gainful work even for 1 hour in any day. Okay, so all these are various ways of calculating. So here the small and medium sector employees are also being counted. Okay, then coming to next, the types of unemployment in India. So first is the disguised unemployment. So that is more people are employed than they actually needed. So in agriculture sector, we have this disguised unemployment, and then we have seasonal unemployment. That means in certain seasons, maybe the lean seasons, we don't have any employment. And then structural unemployment, that is mismatch between the jobs and the skills. Say for example, people from the regional medium, so people who are not doctors, engineers, so they don't get proper employment opportunities due to lack of skills. Then come to next, cyclical unemployment. So here cyclical means not seasonal, it is the economic cycles which they are considering. So that is during recessions, whoever get fired up, or during economic growth, whoever get the employment, so they come under this cyclical unemployment. And then technological unemployment. So it is loss of jobs due to changes in technology. So whenever the computers came to our banks, most of our bank employees took the VRS. So that is technical unemployment. Then frictional unemployment, that is search for the new job or switching to the new job. So basically UPSC aspirants, they come under this frictional unemployment. And then vulnerable employment. So people working informally without proper job contracts. So this is vulnerable employment, and it can also be vulnerable unemployment also, because that is not a true employment. Then come to next, then labor force participation rate. So labor force participation rate defines that section of working population in economy which is currently employed or seeking employment. So people who are willing to work, so that are also considered. And labor force participation rate in India increased to 47.5% in the first quarter of 2021 from 47.3% in the fourth quarter. So here what we need is that 47%. So this is the average labor force participation rate in India, and the female labor force participation rate is 20%. So male will be somewhere around 65. So that is how it gets somewhere average to 47. So here we have some of the statistics. So it is like the current actual labor force participation is 47.50, and the previous quarter it was 47.30, and the highest India has ever achieved is 63%, and the lowest it has gone ever is 45%. So how it is calculated? It is calculated every quarterly, and it is the percentage. So the percentage means whenever we speak of 47, so 100 people, out of 100 people, 47% they are either working or they are willing to work. So if we increase this, but obvious the productivity of Indian labor force will also increase. Then All India Survey on Domestic Workers. So recently the Union Minister of Labor and Employment, he flagged off the first ever All India Survey on Domestic Workers. So this was the first ever such survey in an independent India and will be completed in a year. So all those domestic workers were working as the daily chores workers, cook and then washers, the cleaners. So all these are being surveyed and they are being estimated here. The main objectives of the survey, that is the estimate the number or proportion of domestic workers at the national and state level, then household estimates of live-in and live-out domestic workers, so who are living in the owner's house and who are living outside, then average number of domestic workers engaged by different types of households. So the average number, so per household, how many domestic workers do you have? Say for example, in Ambani's house, there are 500 domestic workers. So likewise, and then coming to more facts, the survey of domestic workers is among the 5 national job surveys that will be conducted for an upcoming national employment policy. And the other 4 surveys are, that is the All India Survey of Migrant Workers. So these also have to be surveyed. Then All India Survey of Employment Generated by Professionals. Okay, so what are the employment generated by professionals? Like you can have assistants to lawyers, doctors and others. Then All India Survey of Employment Generated by the transport sector, so drivers, cleaners, conductors. Then All India Quarterly Establishment Based Employment Survey. So all these are the various surveys that happens to be conducted in future. So we make sure that we remember all these. Then Economic Survey 2022 on poverty and unemployment. So what does the Economic Survey says? The unemployment rate, the labor force participation rate and the worker population rate almost reached their pre-pandemic as per the Predict Labor Force Survey data. So they are saying that we are about to reach the V-shaped recovery because all these, they have come back to their original form. And then EPFO data suggests significant acceleration in formalization of job market during 2021. So a significant formal jobs have been created in 2021 as per EPFO data. Then MG Narega employment peaked during the nationwide lockdown in 2020. So but obvious people lost jobs and they resorted to MG Narega. Then between 2018-19 and 1920, about 4.75 crore additional persons joined the workforce. So this is again a huge one. So all these are given in the economic survey. So we make sure that we remember. And then the rural sector contributed much more to the expansion of employment opportunities relative to the urban sector. So remember this much more. This is not an extreme. This is factually correct. Then further, amongst the additional workers, 2.99 crore were females. So that is 63% were females. So again, this is not an extreme data, it is factually correct. Then about 65% of additional workers joined in 2019-20 were self-employed. So 65% means the self-employment was more than 50%. Majority were the self-employed. Then in 2019-20, more than 71% of employment opportunities were added in agricultural sector. So mark this 71%. Again, that also becomes important. Then come to next economic survey on poverty and unemployment. Friends, here coming to poverty, so not much is present in economic survey on poverty, but it only says that we are soon alleviating the COVID related poverty and we are shooting back. How it says? It says that the GDP growth is going for a V-shaped and the fiscal deficit is reducing, and then the inflation, CPI inflation is reducing, although currently we have a high WPI inflation. And then the foreign exchange reserves are increasing, and then the agriculture and forestry, so fisheries, so these are also increasing. Then industrial growth had crunched and now it is shot back, and service sector has also shot back. So all these show that we are hedging for a positive economic growth, and that positive economic growth is going to curb the poverty and unemployment in India. So this is the overall summary. So have the memory of these pictures so that you can take a guesswork in exam. And then some of the schemes like the credit guaranteed trust for the micro and small enterprises, so that will be revamped. So this was given in the budget 2022 for poverty and unemployment. Okay, so remember this, the credit guarantee trust for MSMEs. So this scheme will be revamped as per the budget. And then raising and accelerating MSME performance or the RAMP program. So with an outlay of 6,000 crores over the 5 years will be rolled out to make MSME sector more resilient, competitive and efficient. So for alleviating poverty and unemployment, these MSME sectors are being thought out. So CGT, MSc and RAM scheme we will remember. And then budget also says that Udyam portal, eShram portal, NCS portal, that is National Career Service portal, and ASIM portal. So all these will be interlinked, and thereby we are widening up the employment opportunities. That is, the employees, they can search for more job opportunities in all these portals. So we discussed about all these portals in the last topic. So as of now, we remember that these portals are being interlinked as per the budget 2022. And then coming to more facts, exemptions from filing tax returns for senior citizens, that is over 75 years of age people and who are having only pension and interest incomes. So for them, some tax exemptions, so they have been given. That is basically for the old age people to save some money and to alleviate them from being destituted. So this is the aim behind this one. So friends, whenever Nirmala Sitharaman came, so most of the tax slabs have been given minute changes. So those minute changes, it is difficult to remember. So we will remember only those things which are headed towards a welfare approach or which are headed towards a significant development in the future. Okay, so we did not remember all of them. Then creation of a digital university for providing high quality education across the country. So this is basically for the education sector. So that happens to become to poverty alleviation sector also. Then the core banking system will be implemented in every one of 1.5 million post offices. So here in the post offices also core banking will be introduced. So what is core banking? It is nothing but internet banking facility. Okay, so that helps the rural areas because post offices are located in most of the rural areas. Then PVM Awas Yojana to build around 80 lakh homes under the PPP projects. So under public private partnership, PM Awas Yojana is going to build more houses. So all these are the budget's clauses for poverty and unemployment alleviation. And then we have the wage rate index. So the government has revised the base year for the wage rate index to 2016, which will replace the old series with a base year of 1963-65. So this was very old and the new base year is being fixed. So now what is a wage rate index? So here the wage rate index, it measures the relative changes in the wage rates over a period of time. Say for example, here we have the 1963 and 2016 ones. So how the wages changed, okay, from that year to this year. So this is what is measured. Say for example, here we have in the 2016 base year, so 30 manufacturing sectors are being taken up, 4 mining sectors, so this is same, and plantation sector 3. So here from 14 to 30, say for example, while calculating the wage rate increase, so earlier 14 sectors were taken into consideration, now 30 manufacturing sectors will be taken into consideration. So that may be food processing industry, fertilizer industry, so textile industries, these might be the new entrants. Okay, so even the weightage also for manufacturing sector from 48 to 82%, the weightage has been increased. And for the mining sector, the weightage has been decreased because the mining is a primary sector. So now the economy is not depending on the primary sector. And then in the plantation sector also, there is a significant decrease from 34 to 6% because again, the economy has moved towards the manufacturing and service sector. Okay, and even the sample taken. So here the sample taken is most in the manufacturing sector because this is the major contributor to economy nowadays. So whenever the wage rate is being changed, so all these changes are being done. So our job is just to know what is a wage rate index. That is the change of rate is measured here and the base year has been changed and significant change in the methodology of calculation is also being included. So that is more than sufficient for us. And then Ministry of Labor and Employment, so that releases wage rate index, but obvious it is understood. And then it is being compiled and maintained by Labor Bureau. So we will mark this also important, and it is based on the recommendations of International Labour Organization and National Statistical Commission. So these two also we need to remember. Then the new series of wage rate index has been compiled on a half year basis as against the annual basis as it is existing. So it is like earlier it was annual basis, now the half yearly basis is being calculated. So earlier it was 1 year once, now it is 6 months once. So these are some of the changes in the wage rate index. Then steps taken by government for V-shaped economic recovery. So in the economic survey budget, so these are being the facts given, so we have taken up. Atmanirbhar Bharat Abhiyan was the head under which various schemes have been taken up. First is the production linked incentive scheme. So that was worth 1.7 lakh crore rupees, and that covered 13 sectors. So for 13 sectors, incentives are given for the companies which are producing something and which are exporting, so that Atmanirbharta or self-reliance is maintained. Then partial credit guarantee scheme has been extended, and here government guarantees 20% of the first loss to the lenders. Say for example, here the NBFCs and the mutual fund institutes, so they are giving loans to the low credit rating companies, and whenever these are being given, but obviously they will be having risks, so they will give the loans even under the risk, because government is going to help them. So the government is given the guarantee scheme, and that guarantee is not for the full loan given, it is only for the partial loan. Say for example, if a mutual fund institute is giving 1 lakh loan to a low performing company, so out of that 1,50,000 will be insured. So even if that company will not pay the loan, 50,000 will come from the government at least. And then next one, 90,000 crore liquidity injection has been announced for the DISCOMs. So all the distribution companies of electricity, they are under losses. So 90,000 crores liquidity, that is free money, is given to them. Then a scheme to build rental housing complexes through PPP mode. So we have discussed this already. Then street vendors to get 10,000 loans for initial working capital. So initially, if you are setting up any street vending telas or any carts, so you are going to get some 10,000 rupees. And then the center will be deregulating the sale of 6 types of agriculture produce like cereals, edible oils, then oil seeds, pulses, etc. by amending Essential Commodities Act. So this came along with the Farm Bill, and those farm bills have been repealed. So but obvious, this also stands to be repealed now. Then come to next, the Purchase Manufacturing Index. So PMI is an indicator of business activity in the manufacturing and service sectors, and it is a survey based measure that asks the respondent about the changes in their perception about the key business variables as compared with the previous month. So it is all about perception, not the actual calculation, and it is calculated separately for the manufacturing and service sectors, and then a composite index is constructed. And the PMI is usually released at the start of every month, so it is monthly. Okay, and then PMI is a number from 0 to 100 and above 50, so that represent expansion, and below 50 means contraction of that sector. Okay, so these are some of the facts. We are getting this Purchase Manufacturing Index, Purchase Manufacturing Index for service, so all these every day in the newspaper, so it is better to revise it. And then Manufacturing Risk Index. So what is this? The Manufacturing Risk Index assesses the most advantageous location for the global manufacturing among 47 countries in Europe, Americas and Asia Pacific. So which is the favorite destination? And then the ranking in the report are determined based on 4 key parameters, that is country's capability to restart manufacturing, then business environment, that is availability of talent, labor, market, etc. Then operation costs, and then the risks, that is political, economic and environmental risks. And the index is released by US based property consultant Cushman and Wakefield. So it is not by World Bank or IMF, so it is by an NGO. So we make sure that we mark this as very much important. Then come to next, the World Bank support to India's informal working class. So what was the support? The World Bank has approved a US dollar of 500 million loan program to support India's informal working class. And here this is under the IDA and IBRD. So together they have lent the loans. So IDA, International Development Assistance, and International Bank for Reconstruction and Development. So they have been sanctioning the loan. Then the program will give street vendors access to affordable working capital. So this working capital which we discussed under Atmanirbhar Bharat, so that is being given by World Bank. Then it also includes National Digital Urban Mission that will create a shared digital infrastructure for people living in urban areas. So shared digital infrastructure means our PM Vani scheme and others will be included under this. Then it will also include gathering of gender disaggregated information on women workers and female aided households. So here it is like it can also include the female domestic workers and others. So disaggregated means it is specific for female. The segregated, separated data for female will be taken up. And then important government schemes for tackling poverty. Friends, whenever we are taking the schemes, so the ministry and department which are working in that will be more important. So Pradhan Mantri Garib Kalyan Yojana, it was launched in 2016, not so important for us. So it is under the Ministry of Finance. So this becomes important. And here we have some other schemes like over 80 crore people are to be provided free food grains, that is 5 kg per wheat and then 1 kg pulses. So all these they are provided at the cheaper costs. So this 1 kg is the chana which is given. So under Pradhan Mantri Garib Kalyan Anna Yojana, so under this 1 kg of chana dal, so that will be given. Chana dal means green gram in English. Then the scheme provides for surrender of untaxed wealth by paying a fine of 50%. So it is like if you haven't paid a tax, so here is one opportunity where you can show that untaxed income and pay 50% of the fine and you can liquidate. So here it is one opportunity to fund this welfare scheme. So now whenever you are going for a welfare scheme, you require a lot of funds. So from where the fund comes, so this is the gateway, that is surrender of untaxed wealth. So coming to next, Pradhan Mantri Shram Yogi Mandan Yojana. So that was launched in 2019 and this is a central sector scheme, not a sponsored scheme. Mark it as important, and administered by Ministry of Agriculture and Farmer Welfare. So mark this also, and it is a central government scheme that is introduced for old age protection and social security of unorganized workers. So the old age and unorganized workers, so they will be getting some pension under this if they pay some installments on a monthly basis. Then the Prime Minister's Street Vendors Atmanirbhar Nidhi or PM Swanidhi. So this is under Ministry of Housing and Urban Affairs. Mark this as important, and it aims to provide microcredit facilities to street vendors affected due to COVID-19. So mark microcredit as important here. Then come to next, MG Narega. So MG Narega is a famous one. So here it is like Ministry of Rural Development, what we have to remember. And then Pradhan Mantri Kaushal Vikas Yojana, but obviously it is Ministry of Skill Development and Entrepreneurship. So this is understood, not so important. Then Solar Charka Mission. So this is under Ministry of Micro, Small and Medium Enterprise, and that too the Khadi Village and Industries Commission that is looking into. Then it aims at employment generation or for nearly 1 lakh people through Solar Charka clusters in rural areas. Then some more schemes, Startup India scheme, that is Ministry of Commerce and Industries and DPIIT. So that is promoting Startup India. So mark this. So this is not the MSME, this is Ministry of Commerce. And then Stand Up India, this is Department of Financial Services and Ministry of Finance. So here it aims to facilitate bank loans to women and SC/STs. So just because SC/STs are being there, don't write it as Ministry of Social Justice, it is Ministry of Finance. Okay, so these are some of the schemes, and here we have some of the portals which we have to see. So here we have the Udyam portal. So Udyam registration or Udyog Aadhar. So this comes under Ministry of MSME. So mark this as important for us. And then we have National Career Service. So that comes under Ministry of Labor and Employment. And here we have the SIM, a skill management system. So this portal comes under Ministry of Skill Development. And here we have the e-Shram portal. So that comes again under Ministry of Labor and Employment. So likewise, if you have a pictorial representation, it will be very much easy to remember. Okay, then coming to last part, friends. So whenever economics, science and tech that come into picture, so the concepts are not so easy. It takes some efforts from your side even to understand the things. Okay, so if you are depending on someone else to understand the things, so but obvious you are not having confidence on your own ability. So consider one analogy like a bird sits even on a smallest branch because not of the faith on that branch, but because it has its confidence on its wings. That means even if the branch breaks down even at the last moment, I have the confidence to fly away. So make sure that you have confidence on your own, not the faith on any others, not even God for that matter. So make sure that your hard work and hard work alone will fetch you success, not anyone else in this world. So have that confidence, work hard, do it. All the very best. Good luck, friends.